nature, rebuilding prosperity, and ensuring that every Nigerian shares in the dividends of good governance under his watch. The president spoke after signing the 2025 appropriation bill of 54.99 trillion naira into law at the State House on Friday. President Tinubu emphasized his administration's priorities in the budget of transformation. State House correspondent Musa Odan Wahab reports.
From the executive, the 2025 appropriation bill of 49.7 trillion naira went to the National Assembly on December 18, 2024. But then, the collaborative effort of both the executive and the legislature discovered the possibility of more revenue to 40 days later. The reloaded budget of 54.99 trillion naira is back to the sender. Apparently fulfilled.
Our resolve.
President Tinubu says the deficit has been reduced to 4.1%. Revenue increased to 21.6 trillion naira, while the national GDP has rebounded to 3.86%.
Reform is working the foreign exchange. The minimum wage was raised and we are meeting all obligations. Thank you.
Now that the 2025 budget has become an act of parliament, the National Assembly has promised to do its bit of oversight and ensure that
in audience to the Executive Secretary of the National Commission Office at the Villa. State House correspondent Ademi Taiwo tells us more.
They are not beggars, but seekers of Quranic knowledge at a tender age. Yet, they are left out on the street, alone to fend for themselves, subject to abuse and manipulation. Their growing number, said to be about 30 million, is a national concern, which the National Commission on Al-Majiri and Out-of-School Children collaboration to action, led by its Executive Secretary, Dr. Mohammed Sani Idris, to the office of Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, is not just for collaboration, but a strident cry for help to address the plight of the Almajiris in order to secure the nation. To achieve this, the First Lady emphasizes the need for proper registration of both the students and those who run the schools.
Even people who go to regular school, they are being abused if they fall into wrong hands. But how do we now start with all those imams that are housing these children? They have to be registered. And also put laws in place so that all these Almajiri schools are registered. So that's how we can know the number.
She says the alternative high school for girls and its increasing impact is a model that can inspire effective Almajiri education system.
You have to take one first and make sure that it's working. You put all the resources there, make sure it is working so it becomes a reference point. The imam can have his own house. So it can be like a co-principal in the new school for Quranic studies.
Added to the 18.5 million out-of-school children that places Nigeria second on thorough attention.
Boko Haram has also decided to linguistically manipulate Al-Majri by giving them interpretations that are not intended with the correct teaching of the Quran. We are going to open a school in the next 3 or 4 days in Kaduna, where we will bring those memorizers of the Quran, give them the ability to understand Arabic so that they will develop linguistical immunity against any ideology that is foreign. We will also give them English so that they will be able to contribute to the development of the GDP of this country and the growth of the country. We are also going to expose them to rigorous skills acquisition so that at the end of that program, Your Excellency, they will have the cause to live a life that is worthy of living.
We have to give you, bless you this, to start a new chapter of your life. And the other request, we are working on it, and God will help us.
On behalf of the council, the national president, Edna Azura, appreciated the First Lady for using RHI to empower women in the country. In the State House, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, says the recent Supreme Court judgment is a victory for the people of Rivers State. The minister expressed this during a media briefing in Abuja. Onozi Yakubu reports that the minister also commends the judiciary for upholding the rule of law.
I've always said that the rule of justice is
FCT Minister Nyesom Wike describes the recent Supreme Court judgment as enough is enough of the impunity going on in Rivers State. He says the true concept of democracy is to play by the rules.
Supreme Court has made it very clear that you cannot have a democracy without a legislature. The Supreme Court has made it clear, cannot say that the government without the legislature. It is unheard of where anybody will say 3 people will constitute an assembly to make laws for the entire state. It's unheard of. It's not to can 3 people make law for a state, not to even talk about the appropriation. The Federal High Court said, look, you can't do this. You cannot do it. And therefore, set aside everything they've done. 3 people will screen commissioners. 3 people will all kinds of things. A governor will go and bring down a house of legislature and will do as if nothing has happened.
Nyesom Wike, who was full of appreciation, asked that disobedience to the Supreme Court pronouncement is a call to anarchy.
If Supreme Court has, if you have allowed this, one day, one member will constitute an assembly, and there's nothing you can do. One member. You can imagine 3 people, one saying the speaker. So two people are now the ones. I mean, it's unheard of. So it has nothing to do with the wicked. We must commend
Of Ramadan, Chief Imam of the Abu Huraira Mosque, Ustaz Muhammad Umar Sandas,
pious through being extending his hand to people, being generous to people, being kind to people, being kind to neighbors, conducting a lot of remembrance of Allah. He's a big loser.
It's a month of spiritual rebirth, and the Imam has called the attention of the congregations to the fact that we have to maximize our reward inside Ramadan through the helping of the needy.
They significantly
in a bid to ensure a strong financial
be able to achieve. We want to see a compliance as high as possible. I would have said 100%, but I know
house sports competition signaled
show the youth, engage them, and get meaningful results out of them. Skills.
Whatsoever flair your child has, Pacesetter Schools, Abuja has a way of bringing out.
Eki abamuji atutujin ayenya ayewa kwaza nje babatu gwamnati ye kwai ina gari inje a garko da babatu eki tuko da bo na baiwa godu wa shi abu wace mushi gawai washin anabaja just da inje she kwa mabo inge a salaji ji a share a lafi inje epia gidi Ramadan miku shi ya salaji yan